In the next session, we have Ami Ganatra, author, in conversation with Amal about Itihasas, tackling the cult of false heroes.
Good afternoon, everybody. That was a fantastic intervention by our finance minister. Very informative, lots of elements to think about. We'll be jumping into a different world, looking at the foundations of where we come from. And she was talking about where we are to go. Today, I have with me Ami, who is an author. She is an ex-consultant and a student of Itihas. She has written extensively about the Mahabharata, the Ramayana. And today we are here to talk about Itihas, tackling the cult of false heroes. So Ami, welcome. My first question to you is, for our audience to understand, what are false heroes? Who are the false heroes? We have all heard the Itihas stories, but where are they?
Namaste Amalji, Namaste Pondy Literature Festival. Very happy to be here. It's my first time here and it's been great so far. I love the room with the view especially. So thank you for inviting me. This is the topic I love and I talk about this topic quite often on a lot of panels. So who are false heroes? The way I see false heroes are the characters which are absolutely grey in the Itihas, as Valmiki ji and Vedvyas ji told us, but in the current narrative or the current understanding have suddenly become heroes who people look up to. And I'll give you examples of that. If you remember, there was a reel of Narayan Murthy ji recently where he was asked about his favorite character from the Mahabharata, and he says there is one character which has influenced me a lot and it's Karna. Then there are reels of girls who are asked that who do you look up to, Ravan or Ram, Sri Ram? And the girls, every girl that they spoke to, they were like, oh, definitely Ravan. Why? And they have this sort of idea that Ravan was some sort of a feminist who did what he did only for the love of his sister. Then there are others who clearly have an ideological bent, who look at our Itihas from not the prism that our rishis gave us, which is dharma, adharma, largely, right? They look at our Itihas and they say, oh, you know what? Let's apply the identity lens here. So the Ramayana becomes not the story of dharma, adharma, but a story of Aryan trying to kill a Dravidian only because he was a Dravidian and nothing else, right? And then we have universities such as JNU. We had some of people here who would say, oh, this whole Mahishasur. So Mahishasur was somebody that we look up to. He's our hero. Durga was somebody who just deceived Mahishasur. And why did it happen? Oh, the whole subaltern thing that they bring in there, right? That the Dalits and Pichdas and the oppressed ones, all these people, Ravan, beat Karn, beat Mahishasur, they are the heroes. Now there is a big issue here, right? One is, of course, what happens when you look at these people as heroes, but the other is when you look at these characters as heroes, we are essentially dumbifying or essentially dismissing the heroes that were told to us by our ancestors. Sri Ram, Lakshman, the Pandavas, Krishna, right? And then for the sake of fun or sometimes for clickbait reels, you will hear statements like, Sri Krishna is worshipped only because the Pandavas won. Otherwise, Shakuni would be somebody we would have worshipped. Why? Because he is the one who's really intelligent. So there is no dharma, adharma. It is only about who won. Again, this comes from the narrative that history is written by victors. Hence, heroes are called heroes only because they are victors and nothing else.
So if we just held on to the narrative for a second and not get into that conversation yet, but in the identification of the false heroes, you mentioned Ravana, you mentioned Karna, and there are a lot of people in the audience having gone through the education over the last 70 years, so our grandparents as well, have had some of these influences that have been part of their upbringing, not only of our generation, but earlier generations and certainly later generations. What's wrong with that?
Well, there is nothing wrong with who you look up to, right? It's a personal choice. However, always remember, a civilization is defined by the heroes it looks up to. You'll see it everywhere. Look at what's happening in Pakistan right now. Who are their heroes? What's happening in Bangladesh right now? Who are their heroes? Look at all the societies that have fallen. Who are the people that they look up to? And you will know where the society is headed, right? That's the same thing that we will face. If we say that Ravan is our hero and not Sri Ram, you know what we are doing essentially? One is we are saying this because we don't know what the Itihas says, but let's look at what Mandodari says. If Ramayana was all about identity, or if it was about feminism, as we are told, we need to know what Mandodari says at the death of Ravan, okay? And this small piece will tell you why it is important to have the right heroes and why some people were heroes and others were not called heroes in our civilization. So at the death of Ravan, just imagine, the lady is broken, right? Her kids have died. Her husband has passed away. There's destruction all around. And how did it happen? Because of Sri Ram and his Sena. So anybody's immediate reaction would have been, curse Sri Ram. You brought this upon us. But that's not what Mandodari does. She's lamenting, she's crying for sure. But then when she sees the body of Ravan, she's like, I'm not surprised. This had to happen. A person always gets the karma phala of the karma he does. I am only surprised, how did you not burn away when you tried to kidnap Sita? That is the surprise element I have. And then she says something even more powerful. She says, Pura Indriyani jitva jitana tribhuvanattvaya. Once upon a time, having conquered all your senses, having done Indriya Nigraha. Now, Indriya Nigraha is a theme you will see throughout. What does Indriya Nigraha mean? Control over your senses, control over your emotions, control over your vrittis of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. She says you controlled all of that and you won over the three lokas. What is she saying? That when he had done so much tapasya, right? How do you do so much tapasya? All the asuras also do so much tapasya. It requires immense self-discipline. She says, having done that self-discipline, having controlled your senses, you managed to achieve what you did. Now, those indriyas, smarat bhi, tat vairam, she says, those indriyas might remember that you controlled them and they controlled you. You became a slave to your indriyas and this is what has come to you. This is the lesson of the epics. Why was Duryodhan considered a negative character? Why was Karna considered a negative character? Why is Ravan considered a negative character? Is it because of their jati? Is it because of their language? Is it because of their race? Not at all. Ravan was a Brahman. So if anybody makes it Aryan Dravidian, I have to tell them, just read the Ramayana. The word Arya and Anarya has been used multiple times. And in what context? Ravan is also called Arya and Ravan calls Vibhishan Anarya. You know why? Because Vibhishan is telling him, let Sita go, you shouldn't do this, jo kar rahe ho wo galat hai. And Ravan says, oh, you are jealous of me, you are an Anarya, go away. Okay, that is how Arya Anarya is used. So while we want to impose Dravidianism on Ravan, he doesn't consider himself that. He must be crying in his grave. Of course, he was cremated, but whatever, yeah. So it was never about identity. And sometimes wrong understanding, again, as I said, like Ravan, Karna I've spoken about. So I want to bring in another element here about what do we glorify. Let's look at the character of Vibhishan and let's compare it with Karna. Every time when people talk about friendship, they say, friend ho to kiske jaisa? Karna jaisa. The friend has to be like Karna, always loyal, right? And for Vibhishan, what is the colloquial understanding? Anybody? Ghar ka bhedi, lanka dhai. Okay. Now, if you go back to Ramayana, when Ravan, Vibhishan, Kumbhakarna are asking for Vardhan from Brahmaji after the tapasya, you know what Vibhishan asks? And he actually stays true to that. He says, param apat gatasya api dharme me matirbhava. Whatever be the situation, however bad be the situation, however testing be the situation, let my buddhi always be situated in dharma. Let me always do the right thing. And for a man who did that, who behaved in alignment with dharma, we say, Ghar ka bhedi lanka dhai. You will have nobody who is called Vibhishan, except few who really understand. But every other person will be Karna, Karna, name it. Right? Because Karna was a great friend, we are told. He was very loyal. He stood by Duryodhan even though he was wrong. He stood by Karna knowing he will get destroyed. Now, I'm going to ask this question. Who is a good friend? One, say if you're jumping into a well, who says, "Tu jump maar raha hai, main bhi jump marta hu." Or who says, "Pagal, jump mat maar, bahar aa." This is not the right thing to do. What is the friend you want? If this is your definition of friendship, then God save you, right? I'll say one more thing. It is not only about Karna being loyal to Duryodhan in all situations. Karna proactively pushed the entire family to destruction. Why? Is the question. Again, today we look at it from a caste perspective. Bichara, he was always wronged. And see, that's where some of our psychology also comes in, right? We love these negative characters. And we always look to find some justifiable reason for their wrongs. Always, right? And I always give this example. Hence, a terrorist still gets sympathy because he was teacher ka beta, right? How? How does that fact even matter for what he has done? But that fact that arey teacher ka beta incites our emotion and our sympathy. The same thing has happened with Karna. Now let's see, I will take that example and I'll leave it at that because I want to just tell you how important it is to know your itihas for what it is. He's considered a Suta Putra, right? And because of being born a Suta, we are told he was always discriminated. Dronacharya did not teach him, we are told. Sutas couldn't be warriors, they only had to be Sarathis. Now I'm not using this example to say we've not had any problems in the society. We probably did. But the thing is, Mahabharata actually gives a picture of a very progressive society, by and large. Who are the Sutas? Who are the Sutas? Does anybody know? What is our general understanding? Charioteer and somebody, for the lack of a better word, somebody of an oppressed class, right? You know who's a Suta according to Mahabharata and according to Shastras in general? Suta is a mixed category. Mixed category of a Brahman Mata and a Kshatriya Pita. Let's take it to the next level. Who is the wife of Abhimanyu? Who is the wife of Abhimanyu? Uttara. Who are the parents of Uttara? Virat and Sudeshna. Okay, from Matsyadesh, where the Pandavas have gone and lived there in disguise for a year. Agyatvaska, the 1 year. Sudeshna's brother is Kichak. And Kichak was an extremely powerful warrior, right? To the extent that even the Raja couldn't tell him anything when he tried to violate Draupadi. And he was an extremely powerful warrior. So much so that when he's killed, people in Hastinapura are like, oh my God, this could be Bhim because nobody else could have killed Kichak. Such a great warrior, Senapati. You know who he was? A Sutaputra. Sudeshna was a Sutaputri. Uttara was a half a Sutaputri. The Pandavas hated the Suta so much that they married into the Suta family. Half Suta family. Does it even make sense? But we don't ask these questions.
So is it the Kathavachaks who have not done a great job over the years in teaching what is itihasa? Is it the lack of people's own willingness to go and read and take it upon themselves to do this? Is it, I'll use the word education system, very little of it actually happens in the formal education system, but nevertheless. So where is it?
I think it's a mix of all of this, yeah? Because Valmiki Ramayana, at least people have read. At least some people have read. Even though I don't want to dismiss the retellings of it, because somewhere today the Ramachetna is alive because of Tulsidas ji, Kabba ji. They've done a great job and they did it with Shraddha. Later on, the writers in the last 50, 60 years, they came in with an agenda, wo jane do. But at least Valmiki Ramayana people have read somewhat. For Mahabharat, while we love to blame Britishers and Mughals for everything, it's very interesting that I always get asked this question that, ma'am, you tell us study the Mahabharat, but Mahabharat to ghar pe nahi rakh sakte. You're not supposed to keep the Mahabharat at home because Mahabharat से Mahabharat हो जाएगा. And I'm like, ठीक है, then तो रामायण और भी नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए, आपके बीवी को ले जाएंगे, right? But this is so widespread. This superstition is so widespread that if you keep the Mahabharata at home, घर पे झगड़ा हो जाएगा, कलेश हो जाएगा, which is ridiculous because if you see the Falashruti of Mahabharata itself, it says anybody who wants to live a very successful life, who needs to have children who are successful, read the Mahabharata. It's a Dharma Shastra, it's a Artha Shastra, it's a Kama Shastra. All of this is Mahabharata and we stopped reading it, right? So somewhere the superstition, be it because of whatever, the mental colonization, we stopped reading our text and we relied on others to tell us. Now, while I also don't want to blame the Kathavachaks, I think somewhere the idea of Kathavachan became to steer emotions rather than pass the right story. So a lot of this heroification has also been done in some of those Kathavachan stuff, right? Because the idea what they want to say is that not everybody is not inherently bad. There is something that have made them bad. So you will go back to Puranas and you'll have stories how Jai Vijay were actually good guys and they got cursed, right? What is the idea of that? The idea is that anybody who's bad doesn't mean he is doomed for life. There is a way for transformation, right? You can transform that person. That is the idea. But what we took from it, no. Good, bad guy doesn't matter. He can still be our hero. And then to make him a hero, more stories were created. And those stories became history. And we lapped it up. You know why? Because we love to blame others for what we cannot do. We love those heroes. We believe if I have not achieved something, it is because of others. Easy, no? See, look at Ravan, look at Karna, most importantly. Very easy to blame others. He was the best warrior. The only reason we don't look at him that way because of others, his jati, Arjun, Krishna, Falana, Dhikana, blame everybody but him. That is not the approach which our Itihas took. Our Itihas is very clear. You have to bear the consequences, the repercussions of your actions. Dharma eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. This is the bottom line. And the reason why a person falls or the reason why a person rises is his own Atma. What drives that? That is the core. It is your vruttis. The Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. And that is why I always tell this. There is a second chapter, Shloka of Gita. You have to paste it on your wall. Read it every single day. If people here know, I'm guessing people here know it. Dhyayato Vishayan Punsaha. Do you know this? Sangaseshu upajayate, sangat sanjayate kamo, kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramat buddhi nasha pranashyati. The debacle, the destruction happens because of your vruttis. Intense attachment, intense lust, intense matsarya, intense krodh. These vruttis lead us to take wrong decisions. Decisions which destroy us and everybody around us. What do these heroes or what I call false heroes represent? They represent these vrittis. What was the issue with Ravan? Did he not have buddhi? He had buddhi. But so much overcome by lust, so much ahankar that he couldn't think clearly. What about Duryodhan? What was his problem here? Everything was fine. He had Hastinapur, he had all the luxuries. No, the Matsarya Bhav cannot live. When the Pandavas said, just give us 5 villages. He's like, nothing doing, not even a needle's tip worth of land. Because I can't live with you guys. What about Karna? Intense Matsarya Bhav once again. And intense ahankar also, intense ego. I have to do give away my Kavach Kundal, even if it is going to be in the benefit of my friend. Bhishma told me that I am only Ardharathi, I will sit out of the war which he himself brought upon the Kaurav Parivar, right? So, what do we have to, can we learn from the false heroes? Yes. But what we learn from them, what not to do. Don't give in to these vrittis. Don't become a slave to your emotions. Indriya Nigraha is essential. And all the heroes whom we consider heroes, not to say that they never made mistakes, not to say that they were 100% perfect human beings, no. But as far as possible, whenever it was important, they showed that Indriya Nigraha. And that is what the heroes, that is what differentiates the heroes from the negative characters or the false heroes.
So that's a very interesting explanation of the why and what it actually does. How do we see it in today's life? Because all of us at some point have had this notion pushed to us that Karna is the person to be emulated. In my personal experience, the emulation of Karna results in a direct element at work. So in our offices, in our work on a day-to-day basis, that same hero worship results in loyalty being more important than doing the right thing. So the dharma takes a back seat and your boss takes the front seat. So that becomes, it's a reality. That's one example. Are there other areas where you see this same cult of false heroes impacting day-to-day life?
So this part that, okay, you should follow your boss, right? I don't think it's a Karna character. You see this in the Pandavas as well, right? The brothers are following Yudhishthir. But why? Because Yudhishthir represents the buddhi who will take the right decisions in the interest of everybody. They also oppose him. They also bring out their own issues when they say, when they are talking to him about whether they should stay in Vanvas or go away, right? So that part where you have to be loyal. When the person who's leading is doing the right thing, I think we can learn it from the other characters also.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
absolutely.
in the Karna thing, he's become a false hero because we don't know him, right? As I said, this impacts everything. This impacts how we do policy making here. Where does the sympathy of people lie in the case of terrorists and others? This whole woke business, right? What is this woke business? We have become so thin-skinned. My way or highway, the right doesn't matter. What I want matters, right? And the whole identity politics, that is a direct. Karna is considered the herald, I mean, he's considered the hero of the Pichdas, right? How? Whereas in Mahabharata, if you read the Mahabharata, Karna is probably more casteist. You have to read his Samvad or Vivad, if I may, with the Raja of Madra, Shalya, right? The way he is talking about the people of Madra Desh, terrible. The way he talks to Dronacharya and Kripacharya, and he says, Dronacharya, these Brahmins are only good for sitting and doing katha and telling katha. They have no shaurya, yeah, something to that end. To Kripacharya, he says things like, if you say one other word against me, remember I'll cut your tongue. Yeah? The most foul-mouthed person is actually Karna. So what people think they are learning from Karna is like also not there. It is almost a victim complex that people are taking.
So that's a direct result of not having had the exposure to the original texts.
Absolutely.
And so getting that exposure in a better way, because the original texts are not always as accessible, given the fact that most of us are not proficient in Sanskrit. Translations are often Western, made by Western writers, and often not very true to the text itself. What is the best way today, from an active perspective, people listening in the audience, what should they go home with? How do they correct their approach to this?
I would say don't fall for convenient answers, first of all. Yeah, like just another thing before I answer for sources. There was another very interesting clip by Palki. She's otherwise a great journalist, right? Excellent journalist. And she said the reasons, again, Pandavas are considered hero, it is all narrative building. She used that example for narrative building. She said otherwise they are bad people. Again, a wrong narrative is pushed on our heads, right? And the understanding gets skewed. Just an example of what we were discussing. But honestly, it is not that the texts are are that inaccessible. They are out there. Abhi, thanks to internet, they're all freely available. Yeah, Bibek Debroy ji has done a wonderful translation in English of Mahabharata and Ramayana both. But that is more recent. If you go to Gita Press, they have great translations. Everybody will have a little bit of bias, but by and large, whatever Gita Press has is aligned with the core itihas stories that we have. Also, when television serials are being made, series are being made, I don't understand this is a simple thing, right? Just do basic research, no, you'll get the answer. But what happens is some of these false heroes have become icons. We are not even able to accept that what we know about them is actually not how they are, right? So people can't even accept that. And I'll give you an example from this movie Adipurush recently. I have nothing great to say about the movie because I have not seen it. However, there was one criticism about the movie, which I was like, wow, how stupid are we rather than the makers? One of the criticism was, they have shown Ravan to be a very bad guy. That was the issue which people had. वो तो वेद पंडित था. He was such a big Shiva Bhakta. And this person has, this Adipurush guys have made him look like a terrible person. He did not even touch Sita Ma. He was the first, as in, the initial feminist who waited for consent. This is what people are talking about Ravan. And hence, is it a surprise that the girls actually think if they had to choose between Shriram and Ravan, they will choose Ravan. This is the other thing, right? One is you create false heroes, and actual heroes and what they stood for, you're trying to make them look dumb. So both of this is an issue.
So as you value false heroes, you undervalue and undermine the real heroes.
Exactly.
And as a consequence of that, you undervalue your lagna to your dharma.
Absolutely.
Right? And the reverence to your dharma. And that, of course, in today's world is quite dangerous because that creates a vacuum which various parties exploit both at the religious level and at a political level.
Yeah.
So, and as a result, we see conversions more and more. And oftentimes, when you hear the stories from our workers who may be going to a church here, the sermons you hear are very much in line with these kind of concepts which create a vacuum of your own dharma to be able to push something else above that. So in this, and this is my last question, we open it to the audience after. As we are making corrections on this, is there anything else other than reading that the public can do? Have you seen any effect in your conversations with people that this has made an impact? What are the things that you have seen?
Oh, one of the things, so Ramayana Unraveled is my second book. And I think the kind of messages I get almost every other day from girls, it's so inspiring for me. It makes me believe that, okay, kuch to acha chal raha hai. I have girls writing to me, young girls. They're like, ma'am, we used to worship Sri Ram because ghar pe karte hai, but we never connected with him. We were like, why? He was so unfair to his wife. Why should we even worship him? We never liked him. We always thought how wrong, how much Sita ji was wrong. We just couldn't see his perspective. But now, when we chant Jai Shri Ram or when we do his puja, we can see where he's coming from. And it is so difficult to be Shri Ram. And yeah, now we understand why he is somebody to look up to and he is somebody to follow. So this is happening. It's as simple as reading the original. What I have done is very simple. I have not done any Mahankam. I have just gone back to the Itihas, Vedvyas ji's Itihas, Valmiki ji's Ramayana and Vedvyas ji's Mahabharata, and brought them in a format which is probably easier to read for youngsters of today or anybody for today. And that itself is having an impact. Like recently, this movie Kalaki came out, right? And I got so many tags on Twitter, tagging Nagashwin also, saying that Nagashwin, you are wrong about the way you've portrayed Karna. Read Amishji's book. And I'm like, oh wow. So people are reading. And the other thing that has happened is a lot of people have started speaking about this. Because it's not as if I'm the only person who's read Valmiki Ramayana or Mahabharata, right? I mean, I'll be delusional to think that. I'm the lowest person here. So many great people have spoken about it, they've read it, they have been writing about it. I just got lucky because I belong to this generation which has so much exposure to internet, right? But now people are asking questions. Now people are saying that, acha, although it is more question format, they're like, if the values are not for today, why should we worship, right? Why are you saying that this person is a hero? Why are you saying that person is not a hero? Pata to karo. So when the critical analysis starts, I think it should just not end there though. You know, we love to ask questions and do nothing about it or wait, accept convenient answers. I think that shouldn't happen. I always tell youngsters, I will never say don't ask questions. I will never say don't evaluate. Nahin, you should. क्या हुआ हम भगवान मानते हैं तो भी you should know क्यों भगवान मानते हैं फिर conviction और बढ़ेगा, right? So it is important to ask questions, it is important to keep an open mind, it is important to critically analyze, but ensure you don't dismiss just because you don't understand. Go back, read the original and have faith. Our ancestors have done a wonderful job in terms of explaining to us dharma and adharma. Just have that faith. Read it with an open mind and nothing else needs to be done.
That's a great segue into a question and answer session.
Thank you.
So I was just curious to know if in a similar trend, anything in the Western side or other nations with other similar mythological stories, have there been such trends in those cases where the audience has totally flipped and started creating these false heroes? And if there's something we can learn from that and maybe apply to switch the narrative, more than of course just reading and listening to people like you who are propagating the right, stories.
To be honest, I don't know if they have distorted the mythology. See, the West, the mythology is basically what comes from Greece and Rome, right? For them, they're more fantasy stories than anything else. I don't think they take them as trying to understand dharma, so to say. However, you see the trend in the West. What is this whole woke business, right? The woke business is saying, you don't need to have any discipline in life. You don't need to have any boundary in life. What matters is you. That's it. No right or wrong. If you believe right, it is right. If you believe wrong, it is wrong. It is a post-truth world, right? I think they are going down a very, very dangerous zone. The topic that happened before, the majoritarian myth, so to say, right? It is not just the majoritarian myth, but in general, you see even in the West, who are the people they have started looking up to, right? All these drag queens and drag kings, and apparently it's all fine. There is no boundary, there is no discipline required. Do whatever you want. So I think West has a bigger problem, way bigger problem than we have.
I think the notion of false heroes is prevalent in various areas. We discussed that in previous sessions with the Mughal kings being identified as heroes, and we heard Vikram speak about it and tell stories around that. So I think it has happened in India for different areas, not only here. I think this one on the Itihas, it has been there for a very long time that this message has been put across, and it tends to be used against us, right? So and for this it is a good exercise to hear some of the sermons around this and how debates are conducted, right? You will actually hear how our own Itihas is used against us for people who are not aware of what the Itihas is.
Actually, it's very interesting. On one end, they'll say, you don't have a history. This is all just bakwas. These are all fantasy stories. And on the other end, they'll say, see, you were always misogynist. See what you did to Draupadi and Sita, Falana Thikana, everybody, right? Or you were always Jativadi. See what you did to Karn, Falana Thikana. Whereas what Mahabharata shows is how progressive the society was in terms of intermingling. It's the society. There's a lot of intermingling. There are so many jatis and sub-jatis which have happened of inter-jati marriages and stuff that you see in Mahabharata. Later on, I think we became more endogamous. But anyways, that's a different topic.
Hi. Thank you for this wonderful interpretation on the false heroes. But my question would be, is there really false and true heroes? For me, all heroes, whatever they may interpret, I think they do play an important role in our evolution of, based on our traditions, and especially Mahabharata and Ramayana, which for us, all of us, I mean, these are traditions which go on and on from generations. So how much value would you give it to the same epic text in the new light, the way you interpret? Because I think if we neglect this, we forget.
So actually, ma'am, I'll correct you there. Where you say where I interpret, what I am actually doing is stating what Valmiki ji and Vedvyas ji have said. I am not interpreting. All the other literature that has come is based on some interpretation and some fiction. Okay. And I'm not even discarding it. I think it has its value for sure. As I said before, we owe the existence and flourishing of Ramachetana for a lot of the retellings that have happened. Okay. The issue is not that. The issue is for the longest time. Again, a lot of the fiction work, because we've always had creative liberty. Okay. If you see a lot of Sanskrit plays, the Karna Bharam, Urubhanga, a lot of them, Veni Samharam, you will see creative liberty taken. Kalidas, Shakuntalam, okay, you will see creative liberty taken. The characters are also, some are made stronger, some are made more mellow. Like the Shakuntala of Mahabharata is feisty, whereas of Shakuntalam, it has more Viraha Ras, Prem Ras, right? So all that has always happened. But I think the understanding at some point was that there was clarity between what was Itihas and what are retellings, for whatever reason, right? The other thing you said is there something like false or not false? Can we learn from everybody? Absolutely, 100%. But again, I will say, what are the ideals you want to set for yourself and for your society? Do people that we are looking up to and trying to learn from, are they really the ideals we want to set for the society? That is the question to be asked. Is the ideal for the society that if you are wronged, you have the right to destroy anybody and everything? Is the ideal that if something wrong has happened to you, you can cry victim all your life? Is that what we are trying to make our society? Or is the ideal that if you like a woman, doesn't matter if she's somebody's wife, nothing. You want her, just go and grab her. Is that the ideal we want to set? So yes, Ravan might have been good for some people in his community, and people may say, oh yeah, no, he had some good things. But again, the question is about hero. How do we define a hero, and why do we need heroes? The way I see it is to define a standard, an ideal, a value system to look up to and follow, right? And in that case, our rishis have been very clear about who is worth following and who is not, what is worth following and what is not.
Thank you, ma'am. In my teenage years, I also happened to read Mrutyunjay, which is a novel, which is a book on Karna itself, and those impressions took good amount of time, long time to go away. My question to you is that I also have teenage sons now. How do you systematically introduce our kids to this itihasa and a right itihas?
I think it's important for us to have clarity before our children, right? Because there are lots of like Mrutyunjay has a cult following, right? It's a very well written book. I think it's translated in every Indian language. Rashmi Rathi. Look at lot of movies in the south which have glorified Karna to no end, right? And that is how, I mean, he's become this hero that people look up to, right? I think first we need to have clarity that everything that we read, where people say this is Mahabharata, doesn't mean it is Mahabharata. It is fiction. So the clarity between itihas and fiction, itihas and retellings which are with Shraddha, and stories written out of narrative and agenda. I think that clarity is required, and it will only come over time with practice, right? But today there are lots of options available which we can introduce our kids to. Like for Ramayana, there is this channel called 21 Notes of Yashodeep Devdharji. Fantastic, yeah. It's a very good medium to introduce your kids. The books I have written, I would say they are also worth reading. I know children have read it. Children in the sense 12 plus, they've read it with their parents. I would say first parents read. Get to know what is right, what is wrong. Get to know what is itihas. Then it will translate to the kids. It's not so difficult, I feel.
One of the key things is the value system which we inculcate in the children. And the value systems that are inculcated into us. I think to be able to get the heroes right is critical to be able to get the right value systems further.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I must lighten the mood because you all have been talking very heavy here. But excellent, very well said, very well conducted, but I can understand the knowledge. But I was reminded of a small joke, and you have to answer the last part of it. All right? There was a Panditji, and there was a Thakur Sahib, and the Thakur Sahib constructed a temple. And obviously, since he had constructed a temple for the entire village, and the Panditji was young, and he invariably would lock up the mandir at 9 o'clock in the evening and go home. So the Thakur said, since I have made such a huge thing, let me ask him some questions like he is doing it. So Thakur Sahib, he asked the Panditji, batao bada kaun? Mandir bada या भगवान बड़ा? Now obviously he said, ठाकुर साहब आपने मंदिर तो बनाया है पर भगवान बड़ा. He said, अगर भगवान बड़ा तो धरती पर क्यों है खड़ा और मंदिर में क्यों है पड़ा? तो he said, साहब मंदिर बड़ा. So he said, अगर मंदिर बड़ा तो फिर धरती पर क्यों है खड़ा? बोला धरती बड़ी. अगर धरती बड़ी तो शेषनाग पे क्यों है खड़ी? बोले साहब शेषनाग बड़ा. अगर शेषनाग बड़ा तो शिव के गर्दन में जाके क्यों पड़ा? बोले शिव बड़ा. बोले अगर शिव बड़ा तो पहाड़ पर क्यों है चढ़ा? बोले साहब पहाड़ बड़ा. बोले अगर पहाड़ बड़ा तो हनुमान की हथेली में कैसे खड़ा? बोला साहब हनुमान बड़ा. बोले अगर हनुमान बड़ा तो फिर राम के चरण में जाके क्यों पड़ा? बोले साहब राम बड़ा. बोले अगर राम बड़ा तो रावण के पीछे क्यों पड़ा? बोले साहब रावण बड़ा. अगर रावण बड़ा तो सीता को हरण क्यों किया? बोले साहब सीता बड़ी. अगर सीता बड़ी तो अग्नि परीक्षा में क्यों खड़ी? तो अब हम ही बताएगा बड़ा कौन.
वो गाना ना सबसे बड़ा रुपया. Answered in the same tone that you asked, sir. But I think that's a beautiful question. The thing is, you should never get into these binaries.
We have a last question. We're done. Okay. We don't have a question. We'll take it later.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amit.